You don't have to be everywhere all at once. You don't have to share everything through your personal brand. You don't have to share every story. You don't have to share everything that's going on in your life right now. It's better to even just share stories from scars, not wounds. And really, it's up to you. You get to choose what you share, what you want, what stories you want that will relate for your clients and that will connect with your clients without, feeling like you're oversharing if you don't want to. Welcome to Confidently Visible, the podcast that helps you move through visibility blocks, including fear, resistance, and overwhelm to share life-changing work with the world and grow your business and attract more beautifully aligned clients that rave about your work. I'm your host, Beck Sands, a visibility mentor, a certified life coach, and an award-winning PR consultant based in sunny Newcastle, Australia. Let me guide you on how to show up as your unique self, to share your incredible work, and to grow your audience with more consistency, ease, and flow. Whether you are a consultant, an entrepreneur, a CEO, a coach, or a creative, this is the space to unlock your uniqueness, to grow your audience, and to make a bigger impact, all while feeling good about being seen. The world needs to hear your message. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Confidently Visible podcast. So good to have you here today. I'm going to be chatting through today about how to manage your energy and still be confidently visible in your business. This is something that I have had to work on a lot over the past 6.5 years. You might look at my content and go, oh yeah, she's pretty consistent. I mean, I don't post every day. I don't share every day. I don't show up everywhere on every channel. But yeah, I've been fairly solidly consistent since starting my business 6.5 years ago. And it has taken a lot of effort. It's taken a lot of learnings. It's taken evolution. And at every stage of my business, I have had to evolve the way that I show up and the content that I do in alignment with the work that I do and in alignment with the business that I'm building as well. And so my business has iterated pretty much every year. My PR consulting business has remained pretty steady throughout. But the way that I coach and mentor women, the way that I have online programs, the messaging behind what I do, that has all shifted and evolved over the years so many times. And so the way that I've showed up, the message that I've showed up with, and the energy that I've had to show up has all 100% shifted many, many times over the years. So this is not a one and done approach. This is not me telling you exactly how to manage your energy or exactly how many times to show up, because only you can know that based on what you've got going on at the moment. But I think the most important thing is to just keep things moving no matter what, right? In some small, consistent way, even if that is one thing a week, one post a week, one newsletter a week, you wouldn't do a media article every week if you're kind of paring back, but you get what I mean here. It's really just kind of being able to show up consistently no matter what's going on, but while respecting your boundaries that you want to put in place for where you're at in your life right now and the energetic availability that you have right now. So showing up consistently can absolutely feel exhausting. And what I've found to be true over the years is that the more I've tried, the less it's worked, honestly. And maybe that's like that clingy teenage girlfriend energy, right? That when you're trying to attract something or when you're really wanting to manifest something in your life or your business, and the more needy you are around it, the more you sort of repel it. I found that to be so true with so many things. You almost have to have that like, yep, I want that, but then that cool, indifferent energy The best way I've found that is to focus on other things. So if you're like, cool, I want to grow my audience, and you're going all in and you're gung-ho with that, then that can sometimes backfire a little bit in the way that you're like too needy to get that thing. And it's not until you sort of go, oh, it's cool, like I don't mind. I'm just trying to, I just want to build my business, and focus on other things in your business instead of like how many likes you've got and how many followers you've got. That's when you can actually really start to get that growth. But I digress, because I'm talking about managing your energy here. So the important thing to know here is that you don't have to be everywhere all at once. You don't have to share everything through your personal brand. You don't have to share every story. You don't have to share everything that's going on in your life right now. It's better to even just share stories from scars, not wounds. And really, it's up to you. You get to choose what you share, what you want, what stories you want that will relate for your clients and that will connect with your clients without, feeling like you're oversharing if you don't want to. And just honoring your energy while, you're still showing up in a sustainable way for your business, but also in a strategic way. Because I have seen over the years so many people just focusing on social media in their business and expecting to land a whole bunch of clients. And the thing is that social media is a nice to have, just like your website, just like your, just like speaking on stage, just like being featured in the media. It's wonderful to have it, and it is absolutely a way of getting in front of your ideal clients, and it's a way of building your profile, and it's something that you definitely want to take advantage of because it's free, the basics of it, and it's your owned platform. You get to control the message, you get to own what's put out, you get to build your own community of followers. But it's not the be all and end all. So if you're just feeling like, okay, I'm going to just show up on social media every day and I'm going to build this thriving business, then that's where we need to look broader at your personal brand strategy and your visibility strategy so that we can actually get you in front of your clients, but do activities and focus on activities that are going to move the needle in your business. And often that is doing things like in-person networking. It's doing things like hosting your own communities, hosting events. It's like speaking at events. It's like meeting these people in real life or in online communities where you can present to them directly and then they can get a taste of your magic. It's in doing things like long form content that really connects, like podcasts, So this is where we want to be able to like capture attention and share little snippets of things via social media. But social media is like share little snippets of the other things that you're doing. That's where it is. That's where the magic is. Share little snippets on social media of all the other stuff you're doing. And also just share little snippets of you as a human, you in your life. People love that human element, right? So that's where social media comes in. But so many of us, and I share like primarily about social media because it takes up so much energy. I know this to be true for myself, and they've made it addictive for us, right? It's completely addictive. And so I have to 100% put boundaries in place. I'm not always very good at them. Even just before I sat down to batch record a few podcast episodes today, guess what I was doing? Scrolling on Instagram, because I literally just almost can't help myself. Like I went on there to look at something I'd previously posted or to find something. Like I went on there for a specific reason, but then as soon as I got on there, I was like, oh, what about that? And like there's genuinely some really cool content that I want to read, and there's some really great stuff on there that I want to share and that I want to look at and that I want to repost and that I want to comment on. So I've definitely got like a really good base of people that I'm following that I'm resonating with. So it's not annoying content, or it's not content that's triggering me per se, but it sucks you into that wormhole. And when you're in there, you can get this stuff of like comparisonitis and, feeling like everyone else is further ahead, or just getting caught up in other people's messages and going, oh, I've got nothing really to say. Like their stuff is so good. I don't really have anything like that to say. But you need to just go and create your own content, right? But in a way that works for you and for your energy. So let's have a look at, trip over my words here. Let's have a look at what I'm going to be talking throughout this episode. So firstly, it's how to stop seeing consistency as all or nothing. It's also about having energy aware visibility and why managing your energy is in fact a visibility strategy. And it's very, very key for how you show up. Why sustainable content practices will work for your low energy days, how to work with your natural rhythm, so that's cyclical, emotional, and hormonal, so that you can show up during the times that work best for you and for your cycle and that you feel like showing up, and some of the systems and tools that can support consistency without constant effort, which is what we all want. We don't want to have to feel like we have to show up every single day, even when we don't want to, because that can really start to drum up resentment in your business. And that's when you can kind of go, I just got to share anything. And you feel like you're just being really pressured to show up. And then when it doesn't have the results necessarily, or you only just get the likes and follows, but not the clients, or, you've got the clients, but not the likes and follows, it can kind of just feel like, this is such a waste of time. And you can get that kind of resentful feeling, particularly after years in your business, or, perhaps you've been trying something for months and it just hasn't worked as to how you wanted it to work. So here's where, we want to manage your energy and we want to look at doing other things as well. So, let's chat about my personal story first with, my energy and my health. So, okay, I've shared this before, but from about 2021 into 2024, I had, and actually before that, it was pretty bad for like 10 years all up, but really, really bad for those years between 21 and 24. And I was well and truly in business. I started my business in 2019, right before COVID. Great timing. Just wanted another challenge after corporate. So I was, well and truly in my business, but I had to have a major surgery for some women's health stuff. I had fibroids and they were causing major, major problems. So it wasn't just like, I know a lot of people have fibroids and most women have one or whatever, and they don't cause any issues. But this was causing really, really big problems for me and for my life, right? So I had to have a major surgery, and we also were on a fertility journey. So had to have a major surgery and then recover from that major surgery. And I had to kind of continue my business and showing up for my clients and trying to take care of myself. And it was actually really great having my business set up in the way that I did, because I was able to take time and recover. And I actually ended up in emergency 3 times during that surgery recovery, hemorrhaging. So it's created like a lot of panic attacks and PTSD and anxiety for me, because I kind of then continued to deal with that same problem. And then, over the years following, and then through our IVF journey and everything like that. Anyway, so it's all been resolved as of 2024. But during that time, it was great in the way that I had my business set up so that I was able to take time off and take care of myself. And also through, even when things weren't that bad, but just through that anxiety and everything like that, because I still had to show up for my business. I was still recording things. I didn't feel like I could share anything about it. I didn't feel like I could say anything to anyone, because I was still going through it. It was really raw, and it was still happening, And so, I just felt really kind of conflicted, I guess, as to showing up and sharing things in business, but then also the reality of the anxiety and all of that kind of stuff. But, in saying that, my business was a huge escape for me. It was like a tether. It was, being able to show up and do my work and work with my clients and all of that and keep things going. It was absolutely what I needed, but also within the parameters of my energy. So being able to kind of go, cool, I can't necessarily show up every day. I just couldn't show up every day. So it was like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and that's going to be fine for my business. So I was doing things like I had, fortnightly podcasts, which then we actually wrapped up the previous podcast. And then I think it took me like another 8 months to launch the next one. But I just did things in stages that my energy was able to hold, while still kind of keeping things ticking along and still being consistent. Of course, not doing everything I wanted to do. Of course, not showing up in the way that I could have potentially wanted to show up, that I would have potentially wanted to show up, but I just didn't have the capacity, right? And so I had to honor that while continuing to keep going in my business. And so fortunately, I've set up my business so that I've got consistent retainer clients. That has enabled me to scale. And that's just really given me a solid platform in my business so that I'm not stressed out all the time about feast or famine mode, or, having so much pressure on launches. And there's definitely a balance to be had there, because you kind of want a bit of pressure so that you actually do it, but you also don't want to stress out too much. So yeah, that's been the balance over the years. But, I guess being able to manage my energy and just continue to show up consistently in a way that works for me helped me to get through that time while still being able to grow my business even incrementally. And I'm still here today. And it was my business actually supported me through that time. And I've got a really, nice kind of relationship with my business now, where I feel like, and this is what I say to myself all the time, is that my business supports me. And so being really friendly with my business, knowing that it has my back and I've got its back, just knowing that my business is something that supports me, and just being really positive and loving towards my business has really supported me throughout. And when you're positive and loving towards your business, you don't want to ghost it. You don't want to just not show up. You want to make sure that you are still showing up and that you are being visible, and that you are helping it along and helping it to grow and feeding back into it, So I think it's a nice way to kind of think about that. You don't need to be on all the time to be consistently visible. Okay. So that's your reminder, is that you don't need to be consistently on all the time. So let's redefine consistency. Let's look at what that actually is. Consistency equals a sustained rhythm over time. It's being able to do, a fortnightly podcast. Maybe you're not doing a weekly. I'd love to do weekly. I'd love to, I've seen the people that do 3 podcasts a week, and I'm like, oh my God, that would be awesome. But, you've got to work within the parameters of your energy, your resources, where you're at in your business, your team, all of those things. Okay. So it's better to do a fortnightly podcast than it is to just do, 3 a week for 6 weeks and then ghost. Okay, so that consistency really builds trust. So it's really about sustainable rhythm over time. So you want to create your version of consistency, and that might look like 1 or 2 social media posts a week. It might look like, having that fortnightly podcast, or it might look like a weekly or even a monthly newsletter. It might look like going to 1 networking event a month. It might look like having 1 coffee catch up a month with someone in your network. So you can see how this kind of visibility, you want to just make sure that it's consistent for your energy. So some of those signs that you're overextending energetically in your business and that you're showing up too much is that feeling resentful or feeling negative about your business or your content, or just getting really riled up about engagement stats on social or whatever, because I do that too. Sometimes I'm like, oh, why didn't that get any? But then, I'll have a look at it a few days later and I'm like, oh no, I did get some, and you've really got to learn to just not get so emotionally involved in this stuff, right? So it's like about being able to step back and almost look at it as an observer. Look at it as an observer or like a leader or a CEO in your business, and kind of look at, okay, what needs to be tweaked? What else do we need to do to make this go further? But we all know organic reach is down and a lot of it is pay to play now. But there are still those organic opportunities. It's just like there's organic PR and media opportunities as well. But we just need to, make it work together within those kind of energy parameters as well. So yeah, feeling resentful about the algorithm, okay? Feeling resentful about your business or content and allowing that to actually stop you, or, having that make you feel bad about yourself or make it mean something about yourself, because it doesn't. It just means that the algorithm didn't like that type of content that you were putting out there, or, it doesn't mean anything about you as a human. If you feel like you're creating from pressure rather than like that you have to show up, that you have to do a post today, rather than inspiration, but also rather than getting into your content rhythm. And one of the ways to get into your content rhythm is to batch content like I'm doing with my podcast today, because I'm in that mind frame. I've got some space to be able to focus. I've got all the setup, I've got my hair done. So it's like, this is a great way to be able to get into that mindset and do a whole bunch of content all at once. And that will support you really to manage your energy, right? Other ways that you know that you're overextending energetically is, if you're hiding when your energy dips instead of having a plan to move forward. So this could mean, you just kind of throw it all in and go, I just don't even want to do anything. And so you just go and watch like 50 reruns of Grey's Anatomy or something like that, which is totally fine to do as well. But also I feel like, you don't want to let that stop you from showing up and from growing in your business. Okay. So yeah, hiding. What was the other one? I've got some notes here and I've just lost my spot. So what can you do instead? So having that like gentle kind of prompt in a journal, just write down this prompt. So what does my ideal energy driven business look like in terms of how much you're showing up? What does your ideal business look like? So is it posting every day? Is it doing a live stream once a week? Is it doing a podcast once a fortnight or once a week? Like, what does it look like ideally? And then what does it look like realistically with where you're at right now, with what you've got going on in your life, with, if you've got some health stuff, if you've got relationship stuff, if you've got, whatever it is that you've got going on right now, you want to make sure that you've got enough energy that you can put into that as well. Okay, so some of the ways that you can start to manage your energy so that you can be consistently visible as well in your business and you can continue to show up is to listen to your body and listen to those energy cues. So are you feeling like you're positive about your content and about the way that you're showing up? Or are you telling yourself just before doing your content things like, no one's going to care what I have to say anyway? So-and-so does content so much better than me. They've got so much more to say than I do. Or I don't have anything to say, or I'm not good enough to be able to talk on this topic, or no one's going to listen to this anyway. These are all those insidious little thoughts that can pop up, and they pop up for everyone, right? Maybe not the same thoughts, but everyone has that inner critic that pops up and tells them that they're not good enough, okay? Particularly when you're growing a business and particularly when you're putting content out there. It is just a rite of passage. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen at every level. Like, my voice still comes up all the time and tells me that I'm not good enough, and that, and there's a voice of comparison. But the difference is that now I know what to do with that, and I know how to move forward regardless. So I know how to get out of that energy. And so some of the ways that you can start to get out of that energy is really to acknowledge that voice, to acknowledge that that's coming up, and to kind of say, yeah, cool, like, thank you so much for trying to keep me safe. However, I choose a different path. And I know that my work is valued. I know that I have something of value to offer. I know that people will get value out of what I share. Okay. So it's about kind of like having that reframe if you've got that. But you want to be working with your cycle so that you know, like, those kind of down days when you might not be feeling as shiny and bright. And you might want to be a little bit more behind the scenes. So if you can batch content if you can track your cycle, I do mine in the Fitbit app, but yeah, if you can kind of track where you're at in your cycle, that's a really great way to be able to keep track of your energy across the month. And you'll know generally when you'll be kind of in your summer, autumn, winter, and spring of your cycle. And if you like Google that, if you haven't heard about that before, because that's a really cool thing to know about your cycle. But yeah, so you want to, know when you're quite going to be feeling like you want to be more visible throughout your cycle, and plan your content as much as you can around those times when you're in your, I guess, summer, spring kind of days. Okay, so work with your cycle, and then plan your visibility during those high energy windows. And then you also want to be moving from reactive content creation to proactive content rhythms as much as you can. Of course, there's going to be stuff you might want to share like each day and kind of go, oh, that's a good content idea, I'm going to do that. Or you might feel like, I want I just want to share something that I'm doing, like on Instagram stories or something like that throughout the day. And that's really cool. But for bigger long form pieces of content, you want to be a bit more strategic about those so you can get the most bang for your buck as well in terms of your time and energy. So for example, I will, I'll sit down and come up with, let's say 4 podcast content ideas and episode outlines. And I'll do that in one sitting so that I can, make sure they feel aligned, make sure they flow, make sure they speak to my ideal client. And then in another sitting, I will sit down and I will record, let's say 4 podcast episodes in one go. And then I will, put them live and make sure that once they're live and scheduled, after they've been edited, of course, that then I can pull a few bits of content out of each of them. So I've got like 2 reels that come out of each podcast that I can share with little snippets from the episode, as well as a bit of kind of content, and I can pull that out from the podcast episodes as well. Now, if you do still need to show up on those lower energy days, sometimes we have to do it. We might have a client presentation or, a webinar or something that we have to show up for. And that is absolutely something that we all have to do from time to time, and that's okay. So if that's you, then just know, I hear you, I feel you. It's painful. It can be painful, but you can do things to support you during that as well. So if you do have to show up, then make sure that you do a few other little things to take the pressure off that day. So you might want to skip your workout and sleep in. You might want to, just take some time, like having a nice long shower, or you might want to reward yourself after you give the presentation to regain some of that energy back. So just remember that I like to think of my energy as, let's say it's like a full cup, right? Let's say my energy is a full cup, and as I use energy and as I do things that deplete my energy, or that just use and take energy. Even if it's something I love to do, it still takes energy to do it. So you think of that cup kind of like the water in the cup, or the energy in the cup kind of going down, 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 down as I do the things, as I expend that energy. And then I need to just be conscious of replenishing that energy as soon as I can. And you don't want to let the cup get to empty, because if you let the cup get to empty, then the next thing is going to put you into depletion, which can be burnout territory. So you want to make sure that if you're using and taking from the cup, that you're then doing little things to replenish the cup. And you can do things throughout the day to replenish the cup as well. It doesn't need to be like having a whole day off or going on a holiday for 2 weeks. It can be just little things like going for a walk outdoors in nature in the afternoon. And that can replenish your energy. That puts a little bit of energy back into the cup. It could be just having a nap at lunchtime, a little bit of energy back into the cup. It could be just sitting down and watching your favorite TV show after you've done a hard task, a little bit of energy back into the cup. So think about like, what is it that replenishes that energy for you, and how can you keep refilling that, not just in big kind of chunks, but also just in little ways throughout the day. All right. I want to also just share some of the tools and systems that you can use for your visibility, because I think this can be helpful. So I use tools to schedule content. The one I use is Later, but there's a whole bunch of different social media scheduling tools. I think one of the problems is that the platforms have realized that people are scheduling and they don't like it, because they want people on their platforms. And so the algorithm does not reward scheduled posts as much. And so this is a bit of a challenge that I've kind of been coming up against with, but yeah, I feel like I still do schedule, and I still do use Later to schedule some content, but a lot of it I do now put up organically, but I just do it on a couple of days. So for example, Monday morning, I will do a 3-minute video recording, and I'll share that on LinkedIn and IG and Facebook. And then Friday, I'll do a quick live stream on IG. And then I'll do a couple of other posts, things like sharing the podcast. I've got my email newsletter every week that I will share, but I can write that, throughout the week prior whenever I want. And then I schedule that for Monday morning at 8 a.m. So, use those scheduling tools and make sure that you, as much as possible, are doing that proactive rather than reactive approach to creating your content or creating your visibility things. It could be award submissions, speaking events, media pitching, all sorts of things. Okay. Also, templates and frameworks are your best friend when it comes to things like this. So if you can, come up with, or there's so many different programs to teach you this stuff, but have a look at like what formula of social media post is working right now. Do a little bit of research into what IG reels are trending, or I'm talking to myself here too. I should probably do this a little bit more, but, have a look at what kind of templates that you can use that you can just repeat over and over, so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel every single time. Another way that you can ground your energy is through, practices. And I've talked about this before many times, but like EFT, you can Google this. It's emotional freedom technique. So you can do tapping. Journaling is a really great one. And also just breath work. So doing things like meditation, or I love Insight Timer for that. And just, even just taking 3 deep breaths at your desk throughout the day is just a really good way to kind of regain some of that energy. So I want to give you an action step now to take away. I would love for you to just have a think about what is your current content rhythm, and is it working for you? Think about it overall in a snapshot. Is it working for you? Is it generating the results that you want? What is it that you can let go of? What can you do less of? What can you energetically lean away from? So if you've been obsessing over a certain stat, or certain data points, what can you do to stop obsessing about that? Either let it go or just accept, or do something about it. Like maybe you need to work with an agency or another consultant that can support you in that area, or just accept that it's not a priority right now and just let it go. Allow it to tick along. There's things that you can do to make it just tick along rather than putting so much energy into it. And one of those things is I will share a lot of the same content across Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn, slightly different. And of course, stories are different, reels are different. But things like the posts that I share around my podcast, things that I share around my launch events, things like that, a lot of that content can absolutely be repurposed. So it's less effort for you, and then you don't have to stress so much if you're putting in all this work and you're not necessarily getting the stats around it. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this has supported you. And I just wanted to share with you in a closing message that you don't have to choose between having energy and growing your business. You can absolutely have energy, grow your business. You can work your visibility around it. Of course, there's hard work to do in business, particularly when you're starting out. But as you grow and evolve and iterate, it can work with your energy, and you can absolutely create boundaries, but still show up and be visible. And we need to hear your message. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see you on the next ep. Thank you for tuning in to Confidently Visible. I hope today's conversation inspired you to show up boldly, to share your unique gifts with courage, and to move through the visibility blocks that are holding you back. If you loved this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And if you're ready to become confidently visible in your business, head over to becksands.com to join my email list and to connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time, keep showing up as the amazing, unique you that the world needs.